hope all of you are well in this pandemic situation. Please stay safe, stay at home as much as possible. Let me introduce myself first. Myself Rinki Bhoumik, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, GIS College of Engineering. Welcome to my lecture series. This is my second lecture with all of you. This is the details of the paper. Your paper name is Physics 2 and the paper code is PH301 and the 3 credit contains 3 lecture per week and total 30 lectures will be there for all of you that will be available. Now in the last lecture we discussed about gradient divergence and curl, means about the details of the vector. So this is in the second lecture. Today we are going to start discussion about electrostatics. Okay, so in electrostatics chapter we'll discuss about Coulomb's law, about Gauss's law, its integral and differential form, the derivation, some numericals and all that. So let's start the discussion. So to start this chapter, we first have to know, or we first have to discuss about Coulomb's law. This one we know from our childhood, but still we have to recapitulate again. So what is Coulomb's law? Coulomb's law, this is the formula F equal to K into Q1 Q2 by R square. Now let me explain this Coulomb's law. What is this? F is the magnitude of the force, K is the Coulomb constant. Now what is Q1 and Q2? These are two separate charges. This is plus Q1 and this is minus Q2. So this is positive charge, this is negative charge. Now Q is another charge. This is positive charge. So that's why some repulsion happens. Repulsive force acts between them. Now between this positive and negative charge, that means between capital Q and minus Q2, some attractive force acts between them. So this is repulsive force and this is attractive force. And the direction is like this. Here it is in outward direction and here it is in the inward direction. And finally from F1 and F2 the resultant force is F1 plus F2. So by the Coulomb's law we can get to know about the force which acts between these two charges plus Q1 and minus Q2, and that is F equal to K into Q1 Q2 by R square. And N is Newton, as we know that this is the unit of the force. So this is about the explanation. Now let me go to the next slide. This is about the principle of superposition. What is superposition? Superposition in a simple word we can say as sum. Superposition means always we can say sum of two waves or two equation, anything. But superposition is nothing but the sum. So the total force on one charge I, means if we go to the previous slide, if I want to explain well, then you see here Q is the charge, right? So if we consider this is the ith charge, and how many charges act on this charge? 2 charges. There can be 3 charges, there can be 4 charges and so on. So here if we see here Fi is the resultant force which we can say by the superposition principle. So by the superposition principle what we can write that Fi equal to F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus F4 and so on. So the number of charges which acts on that charge we have to sum. So this is about the superposition principle. Fi equal to Qi, sum over I not equal to J. Come-over means if there is 3 charges, then F1 plus F2 plus F3. If there is 4 charges, then F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus F4 and so on. So this is called linear superposition of forces due to all other charges. So this is about the principle of superposition. Now our next topic is electric field. In electrostatics, to understand it well, we must have a clear idea about electric field. Okay. So what is electric field? Now the definition is given over here. If you can see that electric field is defined as electric force per unit charge. Means the charge, suppose this charge is Q. Then what is the electric field? The electric force per unit charge will be the electric field. The direction of that field is taken to be the direction of the force. Okay, now let me explain about the direction. If it is positive charge, then the direction will be always outward direction. If it is negative charge, then the direction will be in the inward direction. So it will be either outward or inward direction. So the direction of the field is taken to be the direction of force. It would exert on a positive test charge. The electric field is radially outward from a positive charge and radially in toward a negative point charge. Now this is the formula. E equal to kq by r square. K is the constant, q is the charge, r is the distance. Now let me explain this term. What is r? R is the distance from the positive charge to that point. So this red color, this distance is this red one. Okay. So this red one is the distance r. And this capital Q is this one. So this is about the electric field. Now the formula is given, this definition is given, and this is about the direction of the electric field line. Now our next topic is flux of electric field. So let me explain this one. What is flux of electric field? Phi equal to Ea cos theta. Now before that you see here a figure is given. Suppose this is an arbitrary surface which has the area A. Now obviously every surface must have some normal direction, perpendicular direction. So this is the perpendicular. See, it is given here. Perpendicular to area. So this is the perpendicular direction. This is the electric field direction along horizontal direction. This is the angle theta between them. Therefore, phi equal to Ea cos theta. So this is the flux of the electric field. Phi equal to Ea cos theta. So this is the definition. Electric flux is the rate of flow of electric field through a given area. And you see there is another definition. Electric flux is proportional to the number of electric field lines going through a virtual surface. Like you see a number of imaginary lines, like here 6 imaginary lines are here. So electric field flux also can be defined as the number of field lines going through a virtual surface. Now our next slide is about Gauss's law. Well, this is very important to know what is Gauss's law. First, look at the equation of the Gauss's law. Integration over E dot dA equal to 1 by epsilon naught Q ENC. ENC stands for actually enclosed surface area. Now see, if we consider this one as an enclosed surface area, then Qy, then the total charge Q can be written as equal to integration over E dot dA. Now E is the area, electric field, and dA is the surface area. So if we do the integration over the whole area S, then will be equal to 1 by epsilon naught Q. Epsilon naught equal to, this is the value, 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 coulomb square per Newton meter square. Now the Gauss's law, there is a statement which we have to know. So the Gauss's law states that the electric flux through a closed surface is proportional to the charge enclosed by the surface. So this is a statement which also you have to remember, and also you have to know the equation. So E dot dA. If we go to the last slide, what we said that E is E dot A, isn't it? So electric flux, if the dot product can be done between the electric field and the area, then we can get the flux of the electric field. So obviously by doing this whole surface integration, then we can get the flux. So this flux can be equal to the total charge enclosed by the surface divided by epsilon naught. What is epsilon naught? That is the permittivity. Now Gauss's law. Now we have the idea about what is Gauss's law. So next is we have to prove the differential form of Gauss's law. So how to prove it? Here, first E dot ds equals to integration over rho r dr. This is nothing but the total charge, where rho is the volume charge density. So if we do this integration, where d is the volume, so if you do the volume integration, then we can get the total charge. So integration over v dot n hat ds equal to nabla dot v dt. This one how we can write? By divergence theorem. If we apply the divergence theorem, then we can get it. So if we apply the divergence theorem over here, then we can write integration over volume integration over nabla dot e dv. So nabla dot e dv equal to 1 by epsilon naught rho r dv. So therefore nabla dot e equal to rho by epsilon naught. This is the differential form of Gauss's law. This is simply a derivation which we need to practice, then only we can perform. So this is a little bit introduction about electrostat. So thank you for today.
Gauss law is a powerful method for calculating the electric field from a single charge or a distribution of charge. It can appear complicated, but it's straightforward as long as you have a good understanding of electric flux. Electric flux is a measure of the number of electric field lines passing through an area. The electric flux is equal to E cos theta into A, where theta is the angle between the electric field and the normal to the surface. To calculate the flux to a particular surface, multiply the surface area by the component of the electric field perpendicular to the surface. If the electric field is parallel to the surface, no field lines pass through the surface and the flux will be zero. The maximum flux occurs when the field is perpendicular to the surface. Gauss's law states that the electric flux through any closed surface is equal to the total charge inside divided by epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space. Charges are the source and sinks of the electric field. If we have a sphere of having radius r and we place a point charge inside this sphere, then the electric flux passing through this surface will be equal to EA is equal to Q divided by Q is the charge enclosed by the sphere divided by epsilon naught, which is the permittivity of free space. Using this equation, we will be able to calculate the electric field, as area of the sphere is equal to 4 pi r square. Putting the value of 4 pi r square in this equation, we will get E 4 pi r square is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Dividing both sides by 4 pi r square, we will finally get E is equal to Q divided by 4 pi r square into epsilon naught, and this E is the electric field due to a point charge. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe EasyEDU for more videos.
Numericals on electrostat chapter. In the last class already we discussed about conservative force field, irrotational vector. We know the theory. So today we are going to do some numerical. So first, this is your first numerical. As you can see here, prove that the electric field given by E equal to this one. This is the electric field vector. Okay. So electric field vector E is conservative. Okay. So what is conservative force field, or what is conservative? When a field can be conservative, you know the condition. So I hope you can remember nabla, cross E. What is nabla? In the last class already we discussed. Okay. So what is nabla? This is nothing but the operation, and here this is the cross. Okay. So this is the dot product and this is the cross product. So when the cross product will be 0, then this E will be 0. Then E will be 0. Now here we have to calculate the electric field E, means the cross product of the electric field E. So let's start the numerical. So here first you have to write the 3 unit vectors I cap, j cap and k cap. Now nabla means, as we know, what we know, that nabla equal to I cap del del x plus j cap del del y plus k cap del del z, isn't it? So here below of I cap, here we have to write here del del x. Below j cap, here you have to write similarly del del y. Below k cap, del del z. Now here, what's the component of I cap here? X. What's the component of j cap? Y. What's the component of k cap? Z. So thus here we have written like this. Now you do it. What you have to do? I cap del del y of z minus del del z, here it will be y, is the cross product. Okay, see, del del y z and del y del z plus j cap. J cap, you have to do this cross product. Okay, del del z x. Now del del z x minus del del x del del z. Do the bracket close plus k cap plus k cap. Here it will be, if you do the k cap, then since here it is plus, so that's why the cross product will be del del y of del del x. Okay, del del y del del x minus del x del y. Very simple. So here if you can see del del z of y, that means what? There is no variable of y. So if you do this derivative, it will be 0 simply. And here del del y del del z, that means what? Since there is no component of z, so that's why this term also will be 0. Similarly, if you do this derivative, this one and this one also, then finally you will get the 0. Finally you will get the 0. So it will be equal to 0. So if we do this derivative, then finally the cross product we are getting 0, and the question was we have to prove either the electric field E is conservative or not. So if you do this derivative, then since you are getting it as 0, that's why we can see that E is nothing but a conservative electric field. Though in the discussion I will show you that electric field always will be 0, means it is conservative. Okay, so the cross product of the electric field is always 0, no doubt. This is a property of the electric field that I will prove in the theory class. Now I hope this numerical is clear to all of you. Now let's go to the next numerical. So if you can see here, it is the numerical is given. First go through it. What is written here? If f equal to 2xy plus z cube I cap. This is the x component of I cap. This is the y component and this is the z component. So if the f is given, means the vector is given, show that f is an irrotational vector. Also in my last video we discussed about irrotational vector, or when a vector can be irrotational. The condition, I hope you can remember, nabla dot f equal to 0. Nabla dot f equal to 0. So now if we do the dot product, then del x to xy plus z cube, here it will be cross. Irrotational means the cross product will be 0. So nabla cross f equal to 0, therefore del x 2xy plus z cube. Now here we have to do the cross product. So that's why this is the x component, this is the x component. Also x square equal to y component, 3x z square is equal to z component. Therefore if we do this, then I cap, j cap, k cap. Similar in a similar way, del x, del y and del z. So here it will be the, will place x component 2xy plus z cube. This will be x square, this will be 3x z square. Therefore I cap del y of 3x z square minus del z of x square plus j cap del z of 2xy plus z cube minus it will be del x of 3x z square bracket close plus k cap, it will be, k cap means del x square by del x minus del y of 2xy plus z cube. So if we do this, then finally we'll get 0. Since you can see there is no component of y, there is no component of z. Here if you do this integration, then here you are getting 3z square, and here also if you do this derivative, then you are getting 3z square. Also here if you do this derivative, then you are getting 2x. Also here if you do this derivative, we are getting minus 2x. So 2x minus 2x goes to 0. And here also if you do it, then 3z square minus 3z square goes to 0. So 0, 0, 0 for 3 components we are getting. So the final value is 0. So our question was to find out is it irrotational or not, or how to prove the irrotational vector. So this is the prove. Okay, thus you have to do this derivative, and first you have to show the cross product. If the cross product is 0, then it is a rotational vector. So I hope this one is clear. Now the next numerical for today. Also here we have to show that the vector A equal to A is this one. Okay. Also here I cap, this is the component. Also here J cap, this is the component, and this is the Z component. Now this is your assignment. This is your assignment for today. Last day also I have given the assignment. I hope all of you have done it. So all of you please note down this assignment on your copy and you try to do it. This is just similar to the last numerical which I have done few minutes ago. Here where we have proved how a vector can be rotational. So here also the vector A is given, where x component, y component, z component is given. Now you have to prove irrotational, means the method is same, where irrotational means the cross product will be 0. So nabla cross A, cross product how to do, I have shown you several times. You have to just like before, you have to just prepare this matrix form, then by doing the cross product you can do it. Okay, so this is your assignment, and if you have any query then please feel free to ask. Now today's last derivation, the question I hope all of you can see, it's very simple. Proof of Poisson's and Laplace equations. So what is Poisson's equation? Nabla square phi equal to rho by epsilon naught. This is Poisson's equations. Poisson's equations. This is Poisson's equations. Now how to prove it? We know the differential form of electrostatic chapter, where Nabla dot E equal to rho by epsilon naught. This is the differential form of Gauss's law, isn't it? Now as we know, E equal to minus nabla phi, where E is the electric field and phi is the potential. E is the electric field and phi is the electrostatic potential. This is the relation between them. Now if we place this one over here, then what we are getting, nabla dot minus nabla phi is equal to rho by epsilon naught. So nabla dot nabla means what? Nabla square phi minus is equal to rho by epsilon naught. So finally nabla square phi equal to minus rho by epsilon naught. This is the form of the Poisson's equation. What is rho? Rho is nothing but the charge density, volume charge density. Charge density means charge per unit volume. Okay, so if you have to prove, then you have to follow this method. Simply you have to first write down here the differential form of Gauss's law, then you put the relation over here, then you can get it easily. Nabla square phi equal to minus rho by epsilon naught. Now the last one for today is Laplace equation. So how to prove it? Just one more line you have to do, but you have to understand. Okay, so how to do it? Here, suppose this is the sphere. The charge rho is present here. Initially actually we assume that the charge density rho is here. Now if we consider rho is equal to 0, if we consider, it may happen that there is no charge. If there is no charge, that means what? The charge density rho equal to 0. So if rho equal to 0 and if we place it over here, then what we are getting, nabla square phi is equal to 0. This is the Laplace equation. Just one line you have to do here, like here you have to put rho equal to 0, then nabla square phi you are getting as 0. So this is about the Poisson's and Laplace equation. This is the derivation of it. So I hope today's all the derivation is clear to all of you. Now this is the assignment, you must do it, and if you have any question, any problem, please feel free to ask. So thank you for today.